What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown. Long time no see, folks. I'm glad to be able to make a little content finally. For those who do not know, I have had COVID over the last week or so, and I'm finally getting to a point now to where I can actually speak and not sound absolutely atrocious. And so, you know what better time to jump back in than now, especially with a lot of the Scream news that's coming out. So recently, we got to see a drop of not only the track listing of the Scream score, but just this morning, the Scream score has actually dropped. I checked it out myself just this morning on Spotify personally. I know there are other people, listening in whatever their service of choice may be, but go check it out, folks. Now, I will say there are some things in this score that you could deduce about the film based on the titles, based on the music, especially if you're really familiar with past scores of the Scream franchise. But I'll also say that it's really nothing that you really couldn't have already kind of called. I mean, I'm not going to get into details here, but I'll say that anything that I've gotten from that score are things that I kind of perceived to be the case to begin with. And I also didn't really go in trying to dig in very hard and dissect the score and try to take as much out of it as I possibly could. I just really wanted to listen to what Brian Tyler, I believe his name is how he scored the film. And really, this being the first Scream film that wasn't scored by Marco Beltrami, I really wanted to see how this new score was going to hold up. So the sampling that I did, I'll just tell you, I thought it was extremely well done. Just to kind of go over the tracks real quick, if you don't know, or if you don't want to know rather, skip ahead. I'm actually gonna bring up the track listing here. But we do have New Horizons, Rules to Survive, Ring Ring, Would You Like to Play a Game, Apparitions, Amends, History Repeats, Suspects, Rules, and Requels, a word we've been hearing a lot recently around this movie. Cold Refreshments, In Hot Water, Pain in the Neck, the story of Sidney Prescott. Diversions, Lights Out, Hospital Visitor, Sacrifice, Not My Story, I Started All This, Chrome Face, The Expert, Welcome to Act 3, Where It All Began, True Fans, Passing the Torch, and Ghostface. And you can deduce a few things vaguely based off these tracks. And that's why I said if you don't want your brain working overtime to start piecing things together, that's why I was telling people to skip ahead. But yeah, 24 different tracks on the Brian Tyler score for Scream 2022. And based on what I've heard thus far, I think he did a very solid job of scoring this film. I really can't wait to actually see the film and be able to hear this music while I see the action that's going on behind it. But I was just really excited to be able to get up early this morning, still not feeling 100%, but wow, listening to that score and hearing some of the elements from former films in that score be integrated into this one, it was really exactly what I needed, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, if you're interested, go check out the score. Like I said, I know for a fact it's on Spotify. That's kind of my music selection platform, but I'm pretty sure it's damn near everywhere. Now, the other thing that I did want to bring up here is that the social media embargo was lifted at 9 p.m., I believe Eastern, last night, at the time of me making this video, and we got to see a glimpse, some Scream reactions from a couple of people on YouTube, on Twitter. The official Scream account was retweeting these one after the other, and I saw several glowing reactions and reviews to this new film after that screening that took place yesterday. So just to go over a few here that really caught my eye, here's one from Heather Wixon, who says, "As someone who has been in love with this franchise for a little over 25 years now, I totally and completely loved Scream. Brutal kills, fun mystery, and both the legacy cast and newbies were great. Wes would be proud. And that, I mean, just hearing that in and of itself is enough to just open the floodgates of my heart. I absolutely am ecstatic reading some of these reviews. And maybe even saying some of these reviews is being a little bit too nice, because out of every reaction, review, take, whatever you want to say, that I personally read last night on Twitter, I saw exactly one negative reaction, one negative review. Everything else that I saw was glowing. Here's another one here from Jake Hamilton. As someone who worshipped the original Scream movie and absolutely adores Scream 2, I have to tell you, I absolutely love the new Scream sequel. It's directed with such furious energy. It's both a love letter to the original and entirely fresh. I'm beyond ecstatic. Let's see, we got another one here from Grace Randolph, who actually informed us that we were going to be seeing that social media embargo lifted yesterday. She says, wow, Scream has teeth. Hollywood came out to play. Avoid spoilers at all costs. Mute unnecessary or necessary words rather here on Twitter. Oh, and if you want a full experience, make sure you've seen Scream and Scream 4. Interesting. Very, very interesting take there. That, I mean, obviously watching Scream, the original, should be somewhat of a prerequisite. I think, you know, one of the big reasons they didn't name this movie Scream 5 is because they didn't want people to feel like they had to watch Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4. And in essence, really, you may or may not have to even watch the original, because this is just Scream. But apparently, according to Grace, it at least helps if you've at least seen the first and fourth entry in the franchise before you go check this out, which isn't going to be a problem for me, because I'm going to be watching the entire franchise before I go check this thing out Thursday. Here's another one here from Paul Grimes, who says, and I'll say that this has one of my favorite kills. Wes Craven would be damn proud of this film. #4Wes. And that's another thing I'm really glad to see, is that a lot of people are really taking that into consideration. Does this feel like something Wes Craven would be proud of, that would hold up to his name, his standards? Because, you know, for me and a lot of you out there listening, that's one of the biggest things for this whole new Scream movie. Is it something that would hold up to Wes's standards? And it's something that I've seen reaffirmed that did happen in this film over and over and over again in all these reviews and all these takes. Speaking of, here's a good one here from Joel Mears, who says, fuck me, wow. I love the Scream 4 reference there. Have finally seen Scream 2022, and it delivers, and then some. If this franchise means something to you, and it means so damn much to me, you will leave satisfied, moved, and wanting more. Oh yeah, it's scary and funny as hell. And I gotta say, that last line really sums up a lot of what I want from this movie. I do want that self-referential quasi-comedy that you do get from a Scream film from scene to scene. But also, I do want that really just scary, visceral scream again, like we had from the original one. And that's another thing that I've seen a lot from these reviews, and it's something that really grabs my attention, because it's one of the things that I definitely have my eye on. The marketing has made this film look like a lot darker than at least the last 2 or 3 entries. Seems to be getting back to a grittier feel like the original one did, and sometimes even feels more gritty than the original one. So that's something I'm very excited to hear from a lot of these reviews. Simon Thompson says, Scream freaking slays. It's a textbook example of how to revive and reinvigorate a franchise and do it in killer style. Brutal genius. It has the razor-sharp smarts of the finest entries in the series, with a third act that absolutely nails it. 2 thumbs way up. And that's, once again, that's another thing I'm looking forward to here, because if I'm being perfectly honest with you, and I know a lot of you out there will agree with me, one of the things I appreciate the absolute most from a Scream film is that third and final act. When everything comes together, you get the killer reveals, you get your plot motive and you wrap this thing up and take it home in a very action-packed and conclusive way. And that's what I've always really appreciated about the Scream films. They do keep that as something that you can kind of expect. And granted, they do it a different way to where it's not necessarily the same exact thing every time, but it is something that you can expect. And I gotta say, that's one thing I've heard a lot recently, since the social media embargo was lifted, is that this movie has a killer, no breaks, third act, and I'm here for it. And one more review I'm going to read here from Kevin McCarthy, who says, "The fifth Scream film is the closest I felt to the brilliance, excitement, and horror of Wes Craven's 1996 masterpiece. Hands down the best Scream since the original. Beautifully honors the legacy of the first film while bringing a fresh yet brutal new tone to the franchise." That review, if that holds true to my opinion, I will 100% agree with this Kevin McCarthy. Because if what he says is accurate to, at least my opinion, I'll say this film will definitely be the best since the original. Thus far, I have ranked the films in accordance to their release date, essentially. My favorite is Scream, then Scream 2, then Scream 3, then Scream 4. So I'm very interested to see where I'm going to be able to personally place this new Scream. I'm hoping it's not going to follow Scream 4 as being the worst in the franchise, in my opinion, even though I don't consider any of these films the quote-unquote worst. Maybe use the term least effective. But yeah, the score is out, folks. Reviews and takes and reactions are out to this thing. The social media embargo is lifted. So the people who have screened this film, they've got glowing things to say about it for the most part. Like I said, I only saw one bad review. I was going to read that on this video as well, but I could never relocate it once I had initially saw that last night. But with that said, with all of this said, I just want to say one thing. Please take into consideration that people really love these films, myself included, absolutely adore them, and ruining these films for one of us when it is extremely rare that we ever get one. It's been 25 years, and this is only the fifth film in the franchise. This isn't one of those series where, a new one is cranked out every year like a Saw, or something like that. So this is a rare occasion that we get these films, that we are able to build and grow this excitement with the community, and finally, after years of waiting, go and be able to see it and take away what we will from the film and be excited and have that feeling like we did back in 96 or whenever you first saw your first Scream movie. So I say all that to say this: please do not spoil this movie for anyone. If you've seen it, if you're privy to spoilers, don't ruin this for anybody else. It's pretty much one of the biggest douche moves you can pull in all of the cinematic community, especially in the horror community. Scream is one of those films that, any Scream has the potential for spoilers being a whodunit, obviously. But this film really does. It means a lot to a lot of people. And, I just want to say, if you're out here spoiling shit, fuck you. If it's something you plan on doing, I would advise against it. So yeah, that's just my little plea. Any kind of spoilers or anything like that appear on this channel or on anything that has anything to do with Bloody Breakdown, I'd be deleting it. And if I do see any, I'll probably just go ahead and turn all the comments off. But I'm not going to be doing that for the time being. So yeah, big day here as far as Scream news. We got that score dropped. Go check that out. If I would say, try to take it the way I did. Don't try to dig into every little detail of it. Just listen to the tracks. Maybe not even pay attention to the name of them as you're listening to them. And just appreciate Brian Tyler's new score, because I think he's done a really exceptional job. And that was one of the things I was kind of concerned about, him being the Fast and the Furious guy. And of course, the social embargo lifted. We've got some Scream takes. 99.9% of them seem to be not just good, but glowing reviews. So my heart is full. I got less than a week before I'm going to be going to see this thing. I'm going to go check it out on the 13th here at my local theater. So yeah, what do you all think about the score? What do you all think about these reviews, these takes, these reactions to the new Scream being finally out into the ether, so to speak? Let me know down below in the comment section, and while you're there, leave me a like if you've enjoyed this video, a dislike even. No one will see it but me, but I mean, you can do it if you don't like me that much. I mean, that's fine. And yeah, check the description section. You'll see a link to my Twitter or a link to financially support this channel and what it is we do here at Bloody Breakdown. So, with that said, one more time, folks, drop your comments down below. I'd love the conversation. No spoilers. I'm Bran from Bloody Breakdown, and we'll catch you all next time.